Welcome into the shop. I'm Kate with a little shop on Maryknoll, and this is what sold number 3, or Cha Ching number 3. I had a total of 12 sales this week, the week of January 11th through the 17th, and for a total profit of $572.57. So let's see what sold. Okay, so I had a pretty good week. It was an interesting week because I had fewer sales than I've had the last 2 weeks that I've recorded, and which is totally normal, right? You're not, every week as a reseller is not the same. Your weeks are always going to look different. So I wasn't expecting to just keep selling 18 items or just to go up from there. So I had 12 items, but I still was able to make a pretty good profit. I'm very happy with the profit I made, actually. So yes. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's see what actually sold. I had 8 sales over on my Etsy shop, and I've got to be honest with you, I thought this week my eBay store was dead. I was like, okay, what did I do wrong? I think it's common for resellers when they have bad weeks, slow weeks, to think, what did I do wrong? Did I mess up the algorithm or things of that nature? But really, I had myself a pep talk, and I reminded myself that I can only do what I can do. Meaning I can source, I have the ability to source and pick up the items, and I do the best that I can. I pick up items that I would want to buy, or I would want to display in my home, or I would want to give as a gift. Those are the items that I'm picking up, generally speaking. Sometimes I do pick up things that I would not put in my home or I would not decorate with, but I know that other people would, or I think other people would. So, I do that, and I have control over that, but I don't have control over who comes and buys anything. That I don't have control over. I can do my best to do titles and descriptions, and then I really have to leave it at that. And I attribute every sale that I get to the Lord bringing me a sale. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I told myself, you're getting off this train. We're not going to ride up and down with slow sales and huge sales weeks. We're just going to be thankful for every sale that comes in. And that's it. And yes, I have goals, right? That's why I started this channel. I have goals of going from part-time to full-time, but I'm going to attempt to do that in a rather even-keeled fashion emotionally, and not ride these ups and downs where if I have a slow week or I think my eBay store is dead, I don't flip out and think, what did I do wrong? I probably didn't do anything wrong. I just am doing the same things over and over again. So I don't know why sometimes I have sales and sometimes I don't. So I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, let's jump in. So 12 sales, 8 of them were Etsy sales, 4 of them were eBay sales. And I will, as I go through my week, you'll understand why I thought my eBay store was dead. Okay, so starting off with Sunday the 11th, the first day of my sales week. Both sales were on Etsy. The first one was a vintage Hollywood Regency gold mirror, ornate Burwood, USA wall decor. This mirror was really something else. I remember the estate sale that I got it from. I actually have a few more items from this very estate sale. This was maximalism at its finest. The house was kind of out in the country, and the woman who owned the house was clearly an artist. Her artwork was all over the place. But she, there was like no empty space on the wall. She had that kind of decor, and her decor was fun and fancy and ornate, and I was here for it. I wouldn't necessarily want to live in a space it's so intense, but I could truly appreciate her style. So I picked up this piece. I got it at a great price. I purchased it on October the 2nd for $15. I had it listed by the 5th of October. I had to play around with the price. I put it at $250 at first, with the buyer paying shipping. And it sat for a little while, and I got to thinking, this wasn't the only piece. I got to thinking, if you're going to list something higher, it was a good size mirror. This was not a small mirror. This was a good size mirror. Then you probably should work in shipping, and because I'm a reseller, I'm able to get shipping at a more discounted price than somebody just going into the post office can. So I changed the listing price. I worked out if I sent this mirror to, I'll let you in on my secret. I always go to 90210. Not because I ever watched the show, because I didn't actually watch the show. But it's a show that, like, if you grew up in the 90s, everybody knew about. So I'm like, it's got to be expensive to ship to California. So I'm in Alabama, and I just pick 90210. So there you go. There's some more information about me. Okay, so I pick that, and then I see what it would be like to ship to that area, and then that's how I get my pricing. So I ended up relisting this for $215. That's with the shipping involved, and somebody bought it on the 11th for my full asking price, giving me a net profit of $174.96, and that sold in 98 days. So I was pretty happy with that. Okay, the next purchase for that day was also on Etsy, and it was a Lenox Snoopy Home for the Holidays Ornament Peanuts Christmas porcelain ornament with original box. That's a mouthful. You got to get all the keywords in there. I purchased this on December 13th for $10 at a state sale very close by, and I got it listed on 12/20, so right before Christmas, for $60. And then it sold on the 11th for my full asking price, giving me a net profit of $43.39. And it sold in 22 days. I really loved this Lenox Snoopy. First off, I like Snoopy, but I really love a Lenox piece. I love the way they design things. It's kind of... what am I looking for? It's kind of minimalistic because so many things are in the cream color, but then they have little punches of color. I really like that for some reason. So I thought this was a beautiful ornament. Okay, Monday the 12th, I had one sale, and it was on eBay, and it was a Mackenzie's Child Courtly Check single wall hook, and it had a flaw. I didn't realize it had a flaw when I purchased it originally. I had purchased this one in New York on 8/14, and I had purchased it for $10. That was a fun sale. I was in New York visiting my family, and there were these huge garage sales going on. Like, an entire town was doing a garage sale. It was awesome. And I went to this one garage sale, and this lady in her garage, she had a bunch of Mackenzie Child's outlet covers and things of that nature. And I saw the prices, and you got to remember, I had just started this previous year, right? So my first sale was in March, and this was in August. So I'm not confident yet, but I'm like, Mackenzie's Child, I believe she's like really popular. I think people would really buy her stuff. But I was looking at the prices, and I was like, I don't know. So the lady saw me going back and forth, and she was like, listen, this is my daughter's stuff, and she's not here. I will give you everything half off. She's like, I am over this. It was hilarious. I was like, okay. There are still a few pieces that I did not, sorry about that. There are a few pieces that I still did not pick up. That's to remind me that you are here, because I want to look here, but you're over here. So I put a Post-it note to remind me to look over there. I'm sorry. Okay. So I bought it on 8/14. I did buy it for $10. I had it listed on September 20th. I had it listed for $65. It did have one flaw. It was missing, oddly enough, it was missing one of the rings around the bottom. Now, to be honest, it's not anything you're ever going to notice because it's on the bottom of the hook, and on the bottom of the hook, on the bottom hook is a big red bead. This ring would have gone underneath the red bead, and I'm telling you, you would not have noticed. But I put it in there anyways because it was a flaw. There was something wrong with it. So I listed it for $65 on the September 20th, and it didn't sell until the 12th of January, and it went on an offer for $55. And I was very happy to see it go. And I hope the person who gets it loves it. Making my net total of $43.61. I'm very happy with that. And it took 133 days to sell. Okay. Now let's go to Tuesday. I had one sale. Tuesday was over on Etsy. I had sold vintage porcelain bunny figures, set of 3 pink white rabbits, cottagecore, Easter spring decor. These rabbits or bunnies were adorable. You're going to see them when I pop up. I purchased those on September 19th for $10, and I got them listed, and I didn't list them until 12:30. I kid you not. They just sat on that shelf right there, just sitting there, not doing anything. I finally listed them on 12:30. I listed them for $32. I got my full asking price on the 12th and giving me a net profit of $16.28, and they took 14 days to sell. So I was really learning, you got to get your stuff up. You can't just purchase it and have it sit on the shelf. It makes you no money when it sits on the shelf. You have to take the pictures, which oddly enough I did. The pictures that are up are not the same style as what I take today. So I did take their pictures, and then I never put them up. So I don't know. I'm still trying to work out the flaws of my system. But that was my sale on Tuesday the 13th. So let's jump to Wednesday the 14th, and I had one sale. And it was on Etsy, and they were vintage Laura Ashley Teresa Tortoise gold eyeglasses, oval metal frame cottagecore. These glasses were beautiful. You'll see in the picture when they get popped up. I picked those up at an estate sale, and I paid, I picked them up on an estate sale on 12/11 for $1, because that is a great price for frames. I love getting frames for $1, especially when they're vintage like this and in wonderful condition. So I purchased them on 12/11. I got them up on 12/12. I wasn't sitting around on this one. And I listed them for $42. And they did sell on the 14th for my full asking price, giving me a net total of $36.13. And they only took 33 days to sell. So I really loved that sale. And I really loved those eyeglasses too. So, okay. Moving on to Thursday, I had one sale. It was just like drip, drip, drip. I was thankful that I had one sale on each day, but yeah, that was like, what's going on right now? And that's when I had to have the pep talk with myself. So on Thursday, I sold on Etsy a cottagecore strawberry jar wall hook farmhouse kitchen decor double hook accent. This was so cute. I picked this up at a thrift store. I don't know when. I did not write the date down on this one, but I did purchase it for $3. I remember that clear as day. And then it sold for $18, my full asking price, giving me a net profit of $12.84. So that was a nice little sale. Okay, let's skip to Friday. Uh-oh. I want to go here. Okay, let's skip to Friday. We had both sales. I had 2 sales on Friday. Yay! Yay! I had 2 sales on Friday, and they were both on Etsy. So the first one I woke up to, it was the Prude Home Family Cookbook. I put Prude Home Family Cookbook 1987 Cajun Louisiana Recipes Vintage Southern Cooking Paul Prudhomme First Edition hardcover cookbook. And this man looks so jolly and so happy. And he's got a big old fish in front of him. It'll be popping up. This was my first international sale of the week. That's right, I said first, which indicates that I had another one. So this Prudhomme cookbook went to Australia. So I hope that they really enjoy this cookbook. So this was an interesting sale. Sometimes the numbers aren't going to make sense when I give you my net profit. Sometimes they're going to seem too high. Sometimes it's going to seem really low. And that's because there are so many variables in reselling, with fees that Etsy or eBay or Poshmark might take, to the shipping. Sometimes the customer will get a sale through Etsy or eBay that I didn't actually promote, but so the person got a deal and they paid less, but then I still get the same amount because it wasn't actually my sale. Etsy or eBay had done something. So sometimes the numbers aren't going to make sense. And sometimes I can't explain why they don't make sense because I'm still new. But this one, I can tell you, I had a lot of fees come out, a lot of fees. So even though I sold the cookbook for full asking price at $29, I netted $17.83. And I can tell you that the person who bought this in Australia, they paid like $100 for this book with their shipping and all the fees that they had to pay. They paid like $100 for this book. So they paid $100. I got $17.83, and the money went somewhere. I'm not sure. Okay, so I really hope that they love this cookbook though. And they kind of live in the perfect spot, right? To use this cookbook. Okay, the last sale that I had on Friday was a vintage black metal accordion hook rack expandable wall organizer. I honestly think this is cast iron, but sometimes if I don't know, then I won't call it cast iron. So I called it vintage black metal accordion hook rack. This I purchased on October 10th in Birmingham at 55th Street Place. Really cool shop if you ever get to go there. It is completely volunteer run, and all the money they receive goes back into the community of Birmingham. So this accordion rack I purchased for $6, and I bought 2 of them. There were 2 of them. Now this place is not like a Goodwill or other thrift stores. In this store, it's very small and you have to like dig. There's stuff everywhere. They do have it neatly organized, like in different areas, but there's so much stuff because they get lots of donations that, you kind of have to dig. But I don't mind digging. I kind of like digging a little bit. Not dumpster diving. I don't like dumpster diving. I mean, I've never done it. So, I won't say never. I'm kind of learning you don't ever say never, because as soon as you say never, then you end up doing that thing. So I won't say never, but I don't like to get dirty, and I'm really sensitive to smells. So I don't imagine myself enjoying dumpster diving. I don't even like to take our garbage out. That is definitely a kid or husband chore. Moving on. I bought this rack for $6. I had it listed on October 27th for $65, and it sat until it sold on the 16th of January for my full asking price, making my net profit $64.64, and it took 81 days to sell. Now, the good thing for you is I bought 2. This is the second one. I just love it. I think it's amazing. I mean, I love the wood ones too. Don't get me wrong. I love a wood moment. But this is like heavy duty, and it just has a different aesthetic to it. So yeah, I have another one that's still up for sale in my Etsy and eBay shop. Maybe it's just my Etsy shop. I don't know. It's in one of the two. Well, it's definitely an Etsy. I don't know if it's in eBay. Okay. Then we go to Saturday, and Saturday I had 4 sales, 3 of them on eBay. So all of a sudden eBay was like, I'm here. I'm just kidding with you. And I was happy for it. I was like, okay. None of your foolishness. Me talking to me about my thoughts of my store is dead. Okay. I sold, my first sale of the day was a gunned Santa Claus plush Christmas decor holiday stuffed figure. I purchased this little Santa on 12/18 for 75 cents, and I posted him on Christmas Eve for $14.99. I got my full asking price on the 17th, making my net profit $8.65, and he only took 24 days to sell. He was a cutie. Okay, this one I just bought, and if you watched my haul, then you would see this. If you watched my haul on Sunday, that dropped on Sunday, then you would see this. Okay, this was a Kindle Voyager that I just purchased on January 9th, and I purchased it for $15. It was dead when I bought it, like totally powered down. Brought it home, plugged it in to see if it would power up. I love a Kindle. So I have an e-reader. It's a Paperwhite. I really love it. I know a lot of people love books. My daughter is one of them. She only wants to read if she can touch the book. Otherwise, it's not a reading experience for her. I don't feel that way. When I'm lying in bed and I'm reading a book, trying to hold an actual book, especially the books I like to read. Sometimes I like to read fantasy or some sci-fi, believe it or not, some sci-fi. Could you imagine, like, I'm trying to read Ender's Game at 10:30 at night and I'm trying to hold this book? I don't think so. I don't think so. I need my Kindle. I need it lightweight, easy. Sometimes I use my nose to turn the page. We're really getting to know each other. Okay. Or at least you're getting to know me. This is not fair. All right. Anyways, sometimes I'm an oversharer. That was oversharing. Tapping the Kindle with your nose. That's an overshare statement. Okay. I apologize for that. Okay. I got it listed on 112 because the battery went to full quite quickly. I listed it for $84.99 on 117. It sold for my full asking price going to Portugal. So this was my second international sale of the week. I don't always get an international sale, but I did get 2 sales in 1 week that were international. And I think those are fun. I think it's fun. You know, at the end of the year, I didn't know this until just a couple weeks ago, Etsy gives me a report and it says your Etsy end of the year wrap. So apparently now this is a big thing. Spotify has started something, or maybe somebody was doing it before Spotify, but I know it because of Spotify. An end of the year wrap. Let's review what you've done. And so Etsy gave me an end of the year wrap, and it brought me to tears because I was excited. I was excited about it. Reminded me of when my first sale was. And my first sale was an international sale. It was a cute little frame that went to Austria. And when they got the frame, when they received the frame, they shared that it was perfect and they were wanting to replace one that had broken, that I think they got at the beginning of their marriage or something like that. Something super sweet. And I was like, this is amazing. I love this feeling. I love that I was able to source something then that somebody else was actually looking for. They found it, they got it, and it brought them a little bit of joy because it reminded them of something wonderful in their life. And oh my word, that's a good feeling, guys. So that was my first sale on Etsy as a vintage reseller. Good times. Okay. Anyways, so I told you the Kindle, right? $77.92. It took only 5 days to sell, and yeah, went to Portugal. So I hope that whoever bought it enjoys their Kindle. Okay, my last sale on eBay for the day was a video game, PS3 Lego Batman, the video game 2008, plus case Sony PlayStation 3. I purchased this on November 15th for $2.50. I got it listed on December 27th for $15, and then it sold for my full asking price on the 17th, giving me a net profit of $8.30 in 22 days. All right. And then the last sale of the week, I'm sorry this picture is going to be so dark when it pops up. So my wall that I was taking pictures on, let me just tell you, It's light gray, but there's some holes in the wall from me hanging stuff and then like hanging it somewhere different. And also from my husband and I trying to figure out, there's like something weird behind the wall and we couldn't hang something. And so he was like, how far does this go? Anyways, all that to say, there's some holes in the wall. So when I do hang something up, it doesn't look great. So I told AI, I was like, can you fill in the holes, please? And then I was thinking, you know what? It would look really fantastic if it was on a green wall instead of a gray wall. So then I asked it to put it on a green wall, and it did. And I did think it looked fantastic, but it is very dark. However, in the listing, had you gone past the first photo, you would have seen the other photos, and it was just that the sconces on the gray wall. So you could see all the details. They were very ornate. Vintage Homeco resin wall sconces, pear, black and gold, fleur de lis, made in USA, French country, dark academia, Beauty and the Beast. I had all the keywords in this one. And a lot of people loved this set. It got so much attention. And then it finally sold. So I purchased this on November 26th at a thrift shop for $8, both of them for $8. I don't know what date I listed them on. And this is the thing. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I can get ahead and put drafts in the bank. When I put drafts in the bank, that's also when I put it in my sheets to keep track of it. Well, it's going to tell me the date that I put it in drafts, not the day that it actually went live. And when I do make my drafts go live, I never remember to then go into my sheets and change the date to the date that I actually turned it live. That was this case. I got it in shortly after it sat there. I made it go live. I don't know when, but I listed it for $69. It sold for my full asking price on Etsy, giving me a net profit of $68.02. And I don't know how many days it took to sell. So that's it, guys. That is my that's my Cha Ching, what sold for January 11th through the 17th. It was a slow week, but a very good week. No complaints. It just was interesting how it felt like my sales were dripping in, just like drip, drip, drip. But I'm glad for the drip. I'm glad for each and every sale that I get. I'm so thankful for them. So if you made it through the end of this video, thank you so much for joining me as I attempt to get a tiny bit better, right? At not tripping over as many words, trying to say a little less, getting to the point of what you guys actually want to hear. I do go off on rabbit trails though, don't I? I do. And possibly I have an oversharing problem. I don't know. Well, I'll think about it. Okay. Well, that's it for this week. I hope you join me again on Sunday for what I hauled for this coming week. And then again on Wednesday for another What Sold. All right, guys. I'll see you in the shop.